Ladies and gentle gamers, the Glacite tunnels have been finally added onto the wiki, so we're going to be going over everything because all the drop rates and the chances for Mineshaft to spawn have all been explained. So we're going to go over all of that, plus the drop rates from corpses, including the ultra rare shattered locket. So let's jump into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the mineshaft. So whenever you break a block, there is a chance that a mineshaft will spawn. So depending on the type of block is the rarity. So hardstone has a super low chance of actually spawning in a mineshaft. It is there, but 0.005%. That's 1 in 20,000. So definitely don't want to be breaking hardstone to try and get these to spawn. But these rates, by the way, have been changed. So the first few days they were a little bit different. They did a patch yesterday morning and basically made most of the drops twice as likely to spawn. So from gemstones it was 2,500, now it's 1,000. From Glacite it was 1.7 thousand, now it's 1,000. So you get the idea. Basically Glacite, gemstones, umber, and tungsten all have a 0.1% drop rate, so 1 in 1,000. Mithril has a 1 in 2,000 spawn rate, and titanium has 1 in 500. So if you're looking for straight up spawning mineshafts, then grinding out mithril with titanium and sanium maxed out is probably a pretty good way to do it. But if you're going straight up for Glacite powder, then grinding out Glacite isn't too bad either. But really, if you're going for powder, you're probably going to want to be doing your commissions as you're going through. So it's good to know that the block doesn't really matter on the spawn rate as much, especially with the ones that you're going to be doing for your commissions, because all the ones from commissions are gemstones, Glacite, umber, and tungsten, and they all have the same drop rate of 0.1%. So good to know. Now we'll move on to the types of mineshafts. So the way that the mineshafts work is basically if you're mining a type of block that can have a type of mineshaft, then there's a 33% chance that whatever block you are mining is the type of mineshaft that you'll get. So if you're mining topaz, there's a 33% chance that you'll spawn a topaz mineshaft. If you're mining sapphire, 33% chance that you'll spawn a sapphire mineshaft, etc. But if you're mining mithril or hardstone, then it could be any one of them. They all have the equal chance of 6.25%. But if you are mining one of the blocks, let's say you are mining topaz, then all of the other blocks chances are decreased to 4.4% for each of them instead of 6.25% for each of them. So if you're wanting to spawn as many of the fairy rooms, or the Vanguard rooms as we've been calling them, the room that has the Vanguard and the fairy soul in there, then basically for the highest rates or the highest chance to spawn it, you'll want to mine mithril, because mithril doesn't have a room, so it gives this a 6.25% chance to spawn. However, again, for mithril it is twice as rare to spawn a room, and if you do spawn it from titanium, then you are more likely to get a titanium room. So realistically, it shouldn't matter too much what you mine, because if you're mining other blocks like these, you'll spawn twice as many rooms. But if you mine some titanium and some mithril, then that's probably your best chance of spawning in a fairy grotto room. Now, if it's one of the rooms that you can actually get one of the crystals from, so ruby, onyx, aquamarine, citrine, peridot, jasper, and opal, if it's one of those rooms, then you've got a 33% chance to get one of those rooms from mining that gemstone. And then if you do get one of those rooms, it's a 90% chance that it's the regular room, and a 10% chance that it's the room that has the crystal in it. So crystals are pretty rare. If you're trying to get a specific type, then you definitely want to be grinding out that gemstone block if you can. But again, if you're going for like ruby, jasper, or opal, I don't think those spawn inside the tunnels, so you're gonna have a pretty tough time at getting those crystals. So you're probably better off trying to get those from the corpses, which we'll talk about next. Basically, the lapis corpses have a 50% chance to spawn for every single time a corpse is spawned, and you're guaranteed to have 2 corpses and a 50% chance to have a 3rd corpse. So every single mineshaft that you spawn that isn't Vanguard is guaranteed to have at least 2 corpses and a 50% chance that there will be a 3rd one. If you do have the Dead Man's Chest Heart of the Mountain perk, which I believe is at Heart of the Mountain level 10, then you can spawn a 4th one. But it's a 50% chance that you get lapis, 25% chance that you get an umber, and 25% chance that you get a tungsten. And of course, the loot from lapis is always going to be nice. It's absolutely free, so no matter what, it's profit. But just so you know the rates of the really rare and decent items, basically to get a good amount of powder, it's 5% for 1,000 to 2,000, 3% for 2,000 to 4,000, 1.7% for 4,000 to 10,000, and from 10,000 to 14,000, it is 0.2%. So the odds are pretty slim on you getting a good amount of powder from those, but they're even slimmer on the Umber and Tungsten keys. 0.035% for each of these keys. They're not common, and neither are the Refined, Mithril, or Umber. Those are the other two drops that are actually worth a decent amount. You can get the Glacite amalgamations as well, but they are also pretty rare and they're not really worth too much. It's like 500k or so right now. So realistically, these don't matter too much. Your best chance at getting a good amount of profit from them is the suspicious scraps with a 0.8% chance. It's almost 0.9%. But again, it's free, so if you're not opening these, it's probably because you didn't find them, which there's some rooms they can be difficult to find in. But let's go on to the Umber and Tungsten loot. Which, by the way, actually, for the Lapis, it is an equally random chance to spawn 3 to 6 as far as the loot goes. So, like, whenever you open one, there's a chance you get 3 items, there's a chance you get 6 items, and it's equal. So it's a 25% chance that you get 3, 25% chance that you get 4, 25% chance you get 5, and 25% chance you get 6. And it's the same way for Umber and Tungsten as well, except theirs is 4% or 4 to 7. So there's a 25% chance you get 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's equally random that you're not more likely to get 7 than you are to get 4, but the drop rates are way better on these. You can see that the suspicious scrap has a 3% rate, so it's like 4 times better. The Refined Tungsten and the Refined Umber, of course, are pretty low drop rates, 0.2%, but you're actually more likely to drop an Umber plate or a Tungsten plate, which is 0.3%. So if you get one of those, then you've profited by a ton, because it costs about a Refined Umber to make one of these keys. But these drop rates aren't just for like these specific chests, so you're not like it rolls each thing one time. It rolls each thing ever how many times you got loot from it. So if you got 4 items from it, it rolled 4 times for you to get any of these drops. So it's not like you only have a 3.5% chance to get a suspicious scrap per time. Let's say you get 4 drops from a Umber chest, then you get a 3.5% chance to get suspicious scraps all 4 times. So realistically, every time you open an Umber chest, you actually have a 14% chance to get suspicious scraps. Same thing goes for all these drops. So a 0.35% chance if you got 4 items from that chest is actually 1.4% chance. And if you got 7, it's even higher than that. So depending on how many drops you got is how likely you are to get these really rare items, which is really important once we get to the Vanguard chests. But I did some math behind these. You know, your odds on getting Glacite powder is definitely higher than it is on getting a good amount of Glacite powder from the Lapis ones. But at the current price and probably the future prices of all of these keys and things, your odds of making profit are pretty slim at the moment. I know keys are overpriced at the moment because, you know, they're brand new. It's hard to get them and they take a while to forge, especially the refined items. But realistically, you've got like a 10 to 20% chance to make profit. And if you don't make profit, you generally don't make any money at all. The items that make more than these keys, let's say you're opening a tungsten chest, right? I think that key is more expensive right now. You have a 0.07% chance to get this key multiplied by, you know, ever how many times you got drops. But basically you've got that, you've got the ice cold book, you've got these plates, and you have the refined tungsten and umber, and maybe the scrap. The scrap is worth about half of a key at the moment. You could argue for all of these crystals as well, but the majority of drops that you're going to get with the high chances is mainly gemstones. You've got a decent chance for powder and for scraps, so most of the time you're going to lose money, but sometimes if you don't lose money, you're probably barely breaking even. So if you're going to spend keys, you're kind of just going in with the mindset of, I want to get Glacite powder and I'm willing to pay for it. And realistically, I don't recommend doing that unless there's a double powder event going on inside the Mineshaft. That's what I've been doing. If I use a key, it's because there's double powder going on and I want that extra powder. But other than that, I really don't recommend using these keys. They are not profit. But let's move on to Vanguard. These guys are a little bit different. They have a 5 to 8 drops chance. So 25% chance you get 8, 25% chance you get 7, 6, 5, you know. Same way it was with the others. It's just a higher amount of drops. I did 2 of these today. The first one, I lost everything and that key cost 70 million. The second one, I made back the money from the key plus like 20 to 30 million depending on the market. You know, it's very, very different from hour to hour. But basically I dropped both types of plates, which are both 1% drops. And I think I rolled about 5, maybe 6 items. So I had a 6% chance to get both of them. I got 2 of these ice cold books, which by the way, the price of the tungsten plate is like, I think the price of both of these added together was about 70 mil. So both of those, plus I think I got some Glacite amalgamations and some refined tungsten or something. One of those other things paid for the price of the key because it's a perfect plate, which requires the Umber plate and the tungsten plate, plus a mithril plate. But basically, those 3 items paid for themselves, plus I think the refined titanium. I got some refined titanium, which was a couple mil, and I got 2 of these ice cold books, which are a 5% drop, but again, that's per thing, and I got like 6, so I had a 30% chance or so, higher than that, to get each of them. So I made about 20 million coins, which was not enough to pay for the other key that I lost everything on, because that one I got like a little bit of powder and like almost all gemstones. So it was horrible on the first one, but the second one was pretty nice. But let's talk about the thing that really makes money, the shattered locket, which again is super duper rare. If you get all 8 of those drops, again, you can get up to 9 if you have the dead man's chest. But let's say for this point, you get 8 drops. It is a 1 in 231 chance. And you're only getting that chance like a quarter of the time. If you get 7, it's 1 in 264. So it is very, very low odds. Not as rare as alloy, thankfully, but it's still pretty rare considering how expensive keys are right now. If you're paying 70 million coins for every chance you get at this, you're gonna end up like 185 billion coins in debt. That's not an exact number, but it's not far off. So until keys get cheaper, it's probably not a good idea to do this. So I'm gonna do it anyways because content, but I don't recommend that you guys do. Again, I am down like 50 million coins on these and I've only opened 2. But that's going to be all for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.